Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years. Hi, thanks for watching Quilty. I'm Mary Fons, your host and fearless leader. So I love the log cabin block. I talk about it probably too much, but I love it. And this is a log cabin block. You know, the log cabin block has a light and a dark side. You have to have both a light and a dark to make the log cabin work. If you don't have a light side and a dark side, contrasting sides, the block is not what you want it to be. And so because when you put your log cabin blocks together up on your design wall and you sew them into a quilt, you see the different, patterns emerge, and you can do a barn raising setting, you can do sunshine and shadow. There's all these wonderful log cabin settings. But this block is sort of, to me, not that successful. And the reason, it's not the colors. The colors are great. Light and dark, fabulous. Red center, traditional red center, awesome. But this is a block I made where I cut strips. I cut a lot of strips. Gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 11, like 21 something strips. And they're long and they're skinny and there's a lot of them. And when I sew a log cabin block like this, I end up getting some edges that don't look so great. This is kind of like it's almost a 1/4 inch off. And I'm a decent sewer, I know what I'm doing, and I couldn't quite get this to work, and when I do it with strips, I find that, especially with the big log cabin block, and it's less the sewing than it is the pressing, because when you take this, let's say this is my iron, and you're setting your thing, and you're trying to do your pressing like this, but if you smush it at all, if you do any kind of rubbing with your iron, it smushes it out of shape, especially if you have steam. So I do them a different way. And I find great success with paper piecing. Paper foundations are the way to go for a log cabin block, if you ask me. And on the This Is My Quilt episode with me in it, I show you my log cabin paper pieced quilt. And look out for that. I didn't want to bring it and hang it up because it's not quite finished. I have to do the rest of the quilting and the binding on it. Hot off the presses, these quilts, But I wanted to show you, paper piecing a log cabin block. So I'm gonna go through a few things today, and then we're gonna do a second part of this episode, and I'm gonna finish the block construction. So this is a paper pieced log cabin, okay? This is the foundation paper on the back. We've done paper piecing on Quilty before. You can check out more tutorials on qnntv.com. But this is a very small block, but I pieced my fabric to the paper, and then, after I trim it, which we'll do together, I tear off the paper, okay? And that's this is one kind of log cabin, okay? This is another kind of log cabin block. It's a different setup. You don't go around and around and around like this other one. You go log, log, log. It builds different shapes like this, Those two reds don't match, but that's a log cabin block as well, okay? Just a different kind of house, a different kind of log cabin. Here is what we're gonna make today. We're gonna make this size. That's got a light and a dark side, okay? And this one has a light and a dark side, not as high contrast. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Actually, I started this one and I was like, I don't know if that's working, so I only made one of these quadrants. This one, definitely a light and a dark, okay? And when you put 4 of these together, this is what I did in my quilt called Washington, which may appear in Fons and Porter. I don't know, I haven't decided where it's gonna go yet. When you put 4 of these things together, look what you get. How cool is that? It's a really neat big block, isn't it? I thought so. So I made a bunch of these blocks, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. Okay, so let's just get started with a few things about your foundation. When you have a paper foundation, you need a lot of copies of it. You need as many copies of it as you need blocks in your quilt. So if I have a big block like that, I need 4 of these per block. So I calculate, okay, I want 16 blocks. You need 16 times 4 of these, okay? Because you're going to make a little something like this, okay? So figure that out. Use your copy machine. Make sure your copy machine isn't shrinking things or doing weird things with that. Usually these patterns are in a magazine, you know, so if you find a pattern that you like, make your copies, okay? Now I've sort of shaded in that the 1/4 inch seam allowance is on the outside of this block. So you need to, when you are piecing your pieces, these outside pieces have to cover all the way. We'll show you that, to cover all the way to the edge, because then you trim this down later and you need that 1/4 inch. You need that 1/4 inch in there, okay? So let's start this one and then we'll continue next time. So for this one, this is how we get going here. Sorry, this is the back. This is a little bit lighter, sorry. This is the back, this is just this, okay? What we do to start, put this aside. What we do to start, I always say when you do foundation piecing, you're piecing from behind, from backstage, okay? These are your directions. If you're ever looking at your paper piecing on your machine and you can't see those lines and numbers really well, you got it flipped. This should always be where you're looking at, okay? So you put your first piece here in number 1. I'm gonna do this. I hope you guys can follow me. Can you see that? I think you can, the shadow of that black piece, and it's covering the number 1 with a little bit more all the way outside. And your pattern will tell you how big to cut your pieces, you know, how the width of that, so you can cover your paper piece. But that's how you start, okay? You put this first one on, and you could pin it, but I don't think you need to. The next piece you need to add is number 2, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a red piece. So I'm gonna, and I've got a tip for you that I'll tell you more about next time, but right now I'm just gonna take a piece like this, and I hold it back up to the light, and I say, okay, number 2 log has got to go down. So I look on top here, and I put right sides together, like that. Bear with me, okay? Because what's going to happen is, remember, you're building this from the back, so you're backstage building this. When you sew your stitch line, which I'm going to do, and you fold this back, you start to build your logs out here and your back here, okay? So, do this again. We're going to get started, and then next time we're going to keep going. So we've got our black there, and then when we fold this over, it's going to cover. Okay, I'm going to do that and show you what I mean. Okay. This is my stitch line between 1 and 2. After we press and fold back, our next stitch line will be between 2 and 3. Okay? Then it'll be between 3 and 4, and so on. Okay, so right now, and the first one's kind of the hardest one to do. Once you get going, you will so see what's going on. We've got these lined up here, and I'm going to sew between 1 and 2. When you do paper piecing, shorten your stitch length. I usually do like 1.8 or 1.6 because you want to really perforate that paper, and because you're going to tear it off later, you want a shorter stitch so it's really sturdy. The thread cutter on the Baby Lock machines is amazing for paper piecing, amazing. Now, I'm not going to go back over there. I'm just going to show you before we leave today. See that line there? That's what we just sewed, okay? That's what we just sewed. This is the front of your block, the front of your block. You fold this over. Just going to finger press it for you now. And you've started your block. The next log that you do, I'm just going to bring this over here. The next log that you sew is going to be number 3. It's going to be that one, because see, we're going around like that. So now, facing together right here, this is much bigger than we need. Yeah. Make sure we have enough to cover. See what we're going to do? We're going to do it like that. So I'm just going to sew one more. You flip. So these are right sides together. You flip. And now, this is your line between 2 and 3. Lower. And the thing is with this, you just get precision. Okay, so we got this. We're going to trim that. I'll show you that next time. See how it's going? Yeah, it's great. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to keep building this block in the second part of this episode. Ow. And we will see you next time on Quilty. Make sure to check out the second episode. You'll have aha moments for sure. Bye.
Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years.